Welcome for this presentation. My name is Ganji Joel and the class is focused on information literacy. In it, we will look at a guide which shall be given to you on what information literacy means. And then also in this same class, you will be expected to learn how to find reliable information. You will also be guided on practice how you can check for sources of information and ensure that they are trustworthy. And finally, you shall be guided on how to use and share information properly. In simple, one would wonder where one gets his or her information from. Could it be that you get your information from Google, or could it be from TikTok, or books generally? Generally, others might opt for AI tools. With the advancement in technology, people use a number of AI tools to get their bits of information. It can be academic in nature or other forms of information that one can search. The simple question I ask is, what do you think information is? If one gets this said piece from either TikTok, Google, or books, what therefore is information? In simple, information is facts, details, or knowledge that we receive, that we read, that we hear, or that we see. Any facts, details, or knowledge that we receive, we read, we hear, or those that we see is said to be information. And such facts, details, or knowledge help us understand something. They also help us make decisions, and they aid us in learning new things. What examples of information can we have or can we give? The information can be a news report telling you what happened in your city. That is one bit of information. A science textbook explaining photosynthesis. That can be also a guide that gives you facts, that gives you details, that gives you knowledge. It could be a website showing the steps to bake a cake. That could be it could be a website showing one the steps on how to bake a cake. That would also be the example of information or pieces of information. Or a teacher giving you instruction for an assignment. You do A, do B, do C. Such guidance when given to you, such is also said to be information. So in simple, information is what helps you know more about something. When there is anything that helps you to know more about something, that is said to be information. What is information literacy, therefore? If information is the facts, the details, the knowledge that we read, we hear, we see, or we said anything that helps us to know something, what therefore is information literacy? In simple, information literacy is your ability to find information. When you're able to find information, we term that as information literacy. Or when you're able to comprehend information, that is said to be information literacy. Comprehending is similar in meaning with understanding. Or if there is an ability that aids you in deciding if it is reliable, that is said to be information literacy. And finally, information literacy deals with your ability to use the information correctly. That too is important. Why does information literacy matter? Why information literacy matters? In simple, information literacy matters because it aids us to make choices. In addition to aiding us in making choices, information literacy matters so that we stay informed. That is one other advantage of information literacy. Or it aids us to do better schoolwork. When we are able to understand, to make better choices of the available information, it aids us in doing our schoolwork better. And we can also be in position to spot fake news and scams. That is why information literacy matters. What are the available sources of information that one can have? if information deals with what one, the facts, the details, the knowledge one gets through reading, through seeing, through hearing, what are the available sources of information that one can have? Among many, we can have books, textbooks, it can be books of religion. There is a lot more hidden in such books. We also have other sources like websites of uh, whether recipes on how to go about preparing certain dishes. That can be the website. It can be websites that are educational in nature. They still aid us in uh, giving us information. News articles are also sources of information. If you read the Daily Monitor, the New Vision, there is a lot more said in those pieces of, in those articles, and we can learn or we can get information from such avenues, news articles as such, or social media. With the advancement in technology, today you are a click away from available facts, available details, available knowledge, whether on stories, whether on guidance on a number of concepts. You're just a click away from getting such information. There is now, you can get information using AI, you can get information from Google and many other social media platforms, including Facebook, TikTok, and others that are available. We too can also get information from people through interviews. You can have a sit down with another renowned or a government figure and find out through questioning such a person to get the information they have. So yes, we can get the information through interviews or interviewing people, and the people we interview should be experts. That is important. There is a simple activity for you, and the activity demands you, and I encourage you to write the response to this activity in the comment section of this video. What does the activity demand you? The activity demands you to briefly discuss the strengths and the weaknesses of sources of information, whether it is the books that we said, the social media we talked about, or the people we talked about. What are the strengths of such social media sources? I beg your pardon, what are the strengths and weaknesses of such sources of information, whether the media, whether books, whether people that we interview? What could be their strengths? That is an activity for you, and the response should be in the comment section of this video. One thing that I need to emphasize is not everything we read, whether in books, whether in news articles, whether online using the medias, the social media platforms that are available, not everything we read is true. Others are fake. President Trump has labeled other media houses as fake news. I'm not really siding with him, but he had his reasons to justify why he calls a media house as fake news. I don't agree with him. I'm not siding with him. But what I'm only saying is, just using that example, not everything we read is true. Others could be outdated. It could be something of long ago that does not affect us in any way. It could be outdated pieces of information. Others might be biased. You may read articles of other writers, and they are not objective. They are subjective. They have taken stands. And such pieces of information, with the biases that comes from it, it makes it not to be really that true. It may be true in the angle of those who are in such, let's say a person writes a partisan article praising or discouraging others of a party. Such are said to be biased news. So not everything one reads is actually true. Others are fake. Other writers of pieces of work may only want to write to shade or to paint an image negative and to be precise about somebody. I might write about someone I don't like. And what do? I can put in some fallacies, some lies therein, so that I discredit the person. Or some sources of information or not other bits of information we read may be misleading. They may be misleading. And if they are misleading, then such we should be careful about them. You might have read others encouraging you to change who you are. You are born the way you are. Why must somebody tell you that you are in the wrong body? Such as said to be misleading pieces of information. Or there could be an occurrence, let's suppose a clash between communities, whether it is about land wrangles and others, but let's suppose a person was killed in such a clash, and then someone somewhere says 500 people were killed. Such is said to be misleading. So you don't take it at the face value. You need to go a step further to determine whether it is true or not before you conclude. That is important. How do we check for a source of information whether it is trustworthy? And the best way we can check the source of information for its trustworthiness is to use the 5W test. You can test it by asking who wrote it. Could the person be an expert? Could they be an expert? If they are, we could consider that to be a trustworthy source. So we need experts to write. If one is not a recognized source, build credibility first before we consider you. What is the source? Is it official or just random? On Facebook, there are a number of random bits of writers, not even recognized, and they post things there. Others say the president of this country says, hey, they could be random writers. So we need to be sure of the source. Someone can say that this media house has said this, even when the media house has not. When was it written? Could it be recent or could it be outdated? Such is something information. So you check if it is trustworthy. And the second last important check question is, where is it from? Could it be from a reputable website or not? Some websites are fake. Would the fact that is presented before you be from a reputable source or not? Website to be precise or not? And why was it written? What was the motivation of the writing of such a piece? Could it be to inform or to sell or to persuade? Those are different justifications. I might write something to persuade you on something that I don't want you to be entangled in. So the motivation is important. An activity too for you that you should look at, in it you're going to have to read an article titled Promoting Access to Inclusivity in Education in Obongi and Yumbe. It is important that you go get this information. It is on Daily Monitor. You can get it and help read it. And in it, after reading the question, ask the 5 W's. Who wrote the work? When was it written? Where was it written? Why was it written? And what is it written about? Such are important bits of information. And you can give the responses to the 5 W's of this article in the comment section of this video. I'll have to go over it here after. How then do we use information the right way? One of the things you should do is you should not copy without giving credit. If you are to copy without giving credit, it is termed as plagiarism or academic theft. It is important that also one paraphrases or you write what is said there in your own words. You should use facts to support their opinions. You use facts to support their opinions. And you should avoid spreading false information. That is one important thing that can aid us in using the information the right way. That, I suppose, ends the class.